Have you ever met someone who just seems to handle absolutely everything themselves? Or, hey, maybe that someone is you. It doesn't matter how much is on their plate, they just will not ask for help. It's actually a super common behavior, but the psychology behind it, it's incredibly deep. Okay, so let's dive into this and really uncover the hidden reasons why some people find it almost impossible to ask for help.
So first up, we're going to look at what this actually feels like on a personal level. It's a feeling we can call the impossible favor.
I mean, really think about this for a second. You are drowning in work. You're trying to move. You are just completely and totally overwhelmed. Logically, the people would probably help you if you asked, but the words just won't come out. It feels like a physical barrier, doesn't it? If that sounds even remotely familiar, you are definitely not alone. And you know what? There's a very specific reason why it feels that way.
And that reason? Well, it leads us right here. Because what might feel like just a stubborn personality trait is actually something else entirely. It's a skill that was learned for pure survival. Okay, so this is so important to get right away. If you can't ask for help, it is not because you're too proud or you're difficult or there's something wrong with you. It's because you learned at some point in your life that being self-reliant wasn't really a choice, it was a necessity. You actually developed it as a skill. Let's actually put a name to it. We'll call it survival independence. This is a really powerful preference for handling everything on your own, but it's not something you're born with. It's a coping mechanism, one your brain develops, usually during childhood, when it learns a pretty tough lesson. That consistent, reliable support, it just isn't coming. So your brain adapts. It basically says, okay, guess I've got this. I have to.
Now, to really understand where this comes from, we have to go back in time. We have to look at the environment where this skill was forged, and that often involves a dynamic we can call the child in charge.
So the root of this survival independence is so often found in a childhood where the typical roles of parent and child just get flipped, completely upside down. The child, the one who's supposed to be receiving care, ends up becoming the caregiver. And yep, there's a clinical term for this. It's called parentification. This is what happens when a child is put in a position where they have to take on adult responsibilities way, way too early. This could mean emotionally supporting a parent, basically raising younger siblings, or managing household stuff that is just far beyond their years. They essentially become a mini adult. And this is where that whole flip becomes crystal clear. Look, a child's expected role is pretty simple, right? It's about being cared for, being able to express your needs, and receiving support. But in that parentified role, everything gets reversed. Instead of being cared for, you become the carer. Instead of expressing your needs, you learn to just suppress them, to push them down. And instead of receiving support, you're the one who's providing it to everybody else.
Now, this role reversal has a profound and really long-lasting impact. It actually changes the very nature of what it means to need something from someone, and it creates what we can call the weight of a need. This quote, it gets to the absolute core belief that gets wired into your brain. When you spend your childhood as the caregiver, you internalize this idea on a really deep level, that your own needs are a problem, that needing anything, help, comfort, support is a burden that you just cannot place on other people.
So here's the takeaway. This is how it all connects. That parentification in childhood is what creates survival independence in adulthood. And the reason asking for help can feel so physically impossible, almost dangerous, is because your brain learned that needing something wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a liability. It was something that had to be suppressed for the whole system to keep functioning.
And that just leaves us with a final thought to reflect on. We have established that this hyperindependence is a skill, one that was learned under really difficult circumstances. So, if you mastered the skill of self-reliance just to survive, what might it look like to consciously and patiently start to learn the equally important skill of receiving?